welcome to another episode of Ambient Afternoons. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. Hit that like button while you're here hanging with me. I definitely appreciate all you guys stopping by on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, all of them, TikTok. Appreciate all you guys. So this time of day I just kind of play. If you got any questions, I definitely appreciate the comments and all that love. Getting some love over here from Twitch and YouTube. Appreciate you guys, Neo and Documang Hymns. Appreciate you. So, thank you guys for joining. Let's see what we got going here in terms of questions. Yes, if you have a 5-string, you absolutely can tune it that way. What I would say is you just pretty much buy a 6-string set and don't use the low B string. And that'll also give you a low B string in case you need anything else. What else we got here? Appreciate all y'all chiming in. Neo, James, Christopher. Yeah, really, you don't even have to adjust the truss rod most of the time for all that. Really because it's less it's actually a little less tension than it would be with the regular 5-string set, as the low B is a much bigger string. But and if you do have a little issues with that, I would say take that to a luthier that or somebody that fixes guitars and basses before you start messing with your truss rod. I never recommend people that aren't used to or have the proper knowledge to you'll mess up your bass or something like that real easy. So always be mindful of that. But past that, yeah, we'll get back to playing. So just a quick note. So just so you guys know, the solo sound, the first one was coming from the Enzo X, and let me switch over to the pedal board view here. The first one was coming from the Enzo X. That's actually one of my personal settings. So, that's all. That was a little bit of extra help from the HX Stop and the MS-70 CDR Plus. But this is just the patch by itself. I even added a little vibrato at the end of it. And the other one, the other two I was using came from, a lot of that's the Hog 2, along with the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus and the HX1. Need to bring the volume down on that. Save that. So those of you that have a POG 3 or a POG 2 or an actual Hog 2, you can get those sounds as well. One thing I would say, don't forget to check out the Patreon for different packs and stuff. Like a lot of that reverb and stuff. The delays, like all those different stuff, are available in my MS-70 CDR pack. That's on the Patreon, and got packs for the MS-60B Plus, ToneX 1, yeah, and the C4 synth. Got a 74 piece on that. But I love the MS-70 CDR Plus and the HX1 together, especially both of them on MIDI. What? I can just switch. Got everything just on tap. Like that's in stereo. You feel me? So even if I wanted to just add something like the deep freeze, now you in that synth territory. But you can't make these sounds with synths. It's about $200. It's a little bit over 200 actually. I think about 220, something like that. But when you talking about even that sound right there alone is worth it. But the fact that I could freeze that and having that on auto is just amazing. It almost begs to be added, like add in the male 9 and with the strings. Add in the plethora X1 with the shimmer. Top of the heliosphere on the X1, which is a reverb, and then the delays, the ping pong delay. The ping pong delay, and I'm gonna go ahead. What is that? Oh, that's the pedal. Sorry. So we got on the MS-70 CDR Plus. We have the compressor, 160 compressor on that, and which I don't absolutely need, but I like a little extra compression on the pads. And then I have a filter delay running into a ping pong delay. Right, all that's on the MS-70 Plus. I use that for all the delays. Then I run that into the HX1 heliosphere on there, and then I'm running that into the shimmer reverb on the plethora X1. All right, but give me 1 second, guys. Let's see. Let's I'll be right back. All right, so we back. Thank you guys for waiting. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button while you're hanging out. But all right. Just get you right in that film score. So it gets you right in that film scoring territory very easily. Just having a deep freeze, a Zoom MS-60 Plus and the HX1. But when you add that plethora X1 and little things like I have a color box emulation on the ToneX one. Let me switch over here. On the ToneX one, I have one of the color box emulations of, you know, the presets that's available on Patreon. All my different preamps that I have are for the ToneX series pedals are all available on Patreon. And that includes, you know, not just the color box, which I have, which I'm actually talking through now. It's a great unit, but, you know, everybody don't have $450 to spend on a preamp, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's one of the benefits, again, something like a ToneX one, which I find invaluable at this point. All my preamps, so let me see. You guys can't really see on the screen here, but it's a pedal board off to the side here, and it has 4 analog preamp pedals on it, which include things like the Ampeg SGT-DI, the Aguilar AG preamp, the Eden WT-DI, and the Magellan preamp on there as well. I just love this sound, I'm sorry. But it also includes things like the Lure Mark III, the Ampeg BA series head, and the Jens Benz, oh, you guys can't see in that view, the Jens Benz Shuttle 9. So all that's on there. But, and all that's in that one little tiny pedal right here. That's what's insane. So, you know, these mini pedals are great. I love having this deep freeze and this ToneX one. They are so small on the pedal board, but they do so much. You hear how the whole sound has changed. It's still the characters there, but like the synthy part, other than the strings, you know, the synthy part of the sound is not there. You put that joint on, you ready to do a film score now. It just enhances all your other pedals. So while it's expensive off the rip, I will say, you know, you can get these used for probably about $100, $120. Or if you have the chance, you can get the Super Ego Plus, but I wanted something that would fit on my pedal board that wasn't massive. You know, I already have an Enzo X and a Hog 2 on it taking up a good portion of this board. So it's nice to have something like the Deep Freeze and the ToneX one being these smaller pedal forms. And but yeah, so and also let's talk about the Mel 9. Like, people sleep, nobody talking about the Mel 9. Like, this pedal is incredible on any instrument, but I love this low choir sound. And it follows, it tracks. Even down there, it tracks. So that's another another great pedal if you want to get into ambient music. You want to start building like I almost have like a synth rig now, with between the Hog 2, the C4 synth, the Enzo X, the Key 9, and the Male 9. Now the Key 9 is a whole different beast for bass, and I'll go into that in a second. But the Male 9 is super, just in terms of those pads, it really brings your pads to another level. And even if I was, let me see, I want to add that with the, let's see. That's just nasty work to do. Alright, so let's talk about how we got here. So this first layer is the Enzo X. Mind you, well, first off, this layer, I try to keep my compressor on. Now I'll actually switch to the pedal board view for this, but I try to keep my compressor on, and I also have on this Neve capture I did on here. JHS Colorbox V2. So that's running into the Enzo X, and that's actually a built-in preset called Poly Soft AM, and then I've run that into the Atlas compressor, which I have set up. I need to do a pack for that as well, but I'll get around to it. But because I have some special compression stuff going on with different ones, along with some things that'll color your sound very nicely for running to a PA. But that into the Male 9, and then into the Zoom MS-60B Plus, which is running that same filter and ping pong delay into the shimmer on the HX1. I love the shimmer on the HX1, Line 6 HX1. It's amazing. And then all that run into the Jam Man Solo HD, right? So that's what you're listening to now. Listen to the quality on this. First of all, the quality on all these pedals and the quality of this looper. I haven't talked much about my Jam Man Solo HD compared to I have the Jam Man Solo XT, which was the previous model, and how much better this sound is. Like, check this out. That sound quality is insane. What's going on, Alabama? Appreciate you stopping by. Feel free to comment and ask me questions, especially during this time when I'm not playing. You know, I try to play more than talk during these times, but if you got any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. And hit that like button for me. Appreciate all you guys. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that. Thank you. That sound quality is insane. Then I added some C4 synth. synth is, I like that better as a bass synth pedal. Than the Enzo X, personally. I could literally take that, drop it into my DAW, which is, I use Logic, and that quality is insane. Not only that, you get 200 storage slots. You know, I like that tambourine sound personally, you know, for the click, you know, but C4 synth, you can't sleep on that joint either. That bass synth is, and that's also in the pack on Patreon. You can get this bass synth sound if you want it. So, just an overall great sound there. In terms of the actual quality of it. And sometimes when you're getting loopers, you know, they all look the same. They all say they record and then they play it back for however long. But one thing that gets overlooked, especially if you're new to pedals and you're not experienced, is the quality of the looper. Now, Zoom also makes that new Zoom LP looper. That is a good quality sound looper, but the issue I was having with it, and the reason why I couldn't keep it, I wanted to keep it because it has MIDI in and out, right? And the Digitech one doesn't, but it has the jam sync, which allows it to sync with other ones. But with this one in particular, I need to be able to switch loops in the middle, like pretty much make a song like I just did there, where I can save loops on the fly without it stopping, as well as have it great sound quality, be able to not just save, but switch the loops. And not only that, but if I wanted to slow it down or something else, the Digitech one is much better at that. Now, if I wanted to speed that up, I can as well. So let's go to tempo. If we want to put it to a certain tempo, or you can just tap it in if you want it. Let's put it at 100. It's important to groove at any tempo, even when you're playing a slow one. You see how when I sped it up, now it's still in the groove. And you see how me speeding up and slowing it down, it didn't change the audio. It just sped it up and slowed it down without changing the pitch or any weird stuff in there. So I love this Jam Man solo. Okay, whatever. I love the Jam Man Solo HD. It is a little pricier than the other ones, but in terms of performance, when you add in that extra external foot switch, it definitely will like very much add to what you're doing, and it'll help your creativity flow in a much more organic way. Now, I will say that, you know, you got to get used to any looper that you're using. It takes a second to get used to any of them. But this one in particular, it gives you a lot of storage, and you get SD card storage as well, which is super important because you're trying to write 1 million songs, right? So you need space for that. And if you want to, you could just do like I do, and I take the SD card out, dump it onto my hard drive, my external hard drive through my computer. And then that way I have all my songs, ideas saved on my hard drive without ever opening or using my computer, straight from my pedal board. And if I do something improvisational live that I particularly like, like create a song on stage or something, I can instantly save it. You saw me saving there, and it didn't take much at all. Now I also do little things like stop and start to add a drum solo to stuff like this, or I might do something like. So you get the point there. Just kind of play around with the volume knob to create accents for the drummer to solo to without actually having to create a new part. So that's another part of things, how I do things live. Solo, or I actually use loops with my trio. I use a trio, sometimes a 4-piece, and I also do solo gigs. So I can say that this setup I have here with these particular pedals definitely makes that way easier. Now, if we come over here to the pedal board, I'll walk y'all through the pedal board quickly. So pedal board starts with this 3-way looper here, which keeps my stuff extra clean. Now, first off, this board here is my main gig board. And it has pretty much everything I need for a general bass gig and anything else pretty much. But it covers all of that stuff. Bass sims, all my general bass sounds, bass simulations and all that stuff. So, and as well as has great compressors and all that good stuff. So, starts here with a 3-way looper, goes from here, goes into here. The first loop here, which is this green one, is the what's this thing? The Empress bass compressor. I don't know why I forgot. This is my favorite bass compressor. Then loop 2 is the Hog 2 and the C4 synth. One of my octave generators and synth pedals. And then the blue loop, last loop in this chain would be the Deep Freeze and the MS-60B Plus. Then that comes back to the looper here and goes out to the ToneX 1 into the Maris Enzo X, and then out to the Atlas compressor. Now, if I was running online, or doing a gig out of the Atlas compressor, I would run stereo out of there into the Canvas audio, the Canvas line isolator, DI stereo one, and that is an important pedal. Like if you're going to use amp simulations and cabinet sims and IRs and stuff, get you a Canvas stereo line isolator, and it's going to allow you to bring all the gain down from your rig, which will reduce a lot of noise, but still have your tone, your overall signal be higher. And it's really not even higher. It's just it's not adding a pad to it like a regular DI box. It has a regular DI mode, but it definitely adds to the clarity. That's why my sound sounds so clear and good, because I'm pretty much going through everything into the Canvas DI stereo line isolator / DI box, and then running that 2 XLRs to my Zoom L12 I use as my mixer, and then I have each channel panned all the way to the left, one pan all the way to the left, one pan all the way to the right, and that gives me a nice stereo feel. And as you can hear, the voice is in the middle. I love that Enzo X. I'm sorry, that it made it onto my main pedal board. I didn't think it was going to go that far. I thought it would make it onto my ambient board on the floor. like the tail end of stuff we see, but I didn't think it'd make it onto the main one. That's an amazing pedal. Definitely check it out if you have an opportunity to. It's expensive. You know, it's $600, but it is worth it. But yeah. So all right, so let's drop down here to the floor. We drop down to another looper on the floor here, this other gold one. And the line runs into, it actually separates. So one of the Atlas compressors is running directly to the MS-70 CDR Plus, and the other is running to the line, the three-way loop, effects loop switcher here. So the green loop here is going to the key 9 and the male 9, while the red loop, which is the middle one, is going to the MS-50G. And the last, the red loop's going to the V256 vocoder and the MXR layers. And then the last blue loop is going to the MS-50G Plus. I mean, well, it's just the regular MS-50G. I didn't get the Plus yet. And then all that's running into the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, the HX1, and the Plethora X1. And then all that's running stereo into the Jamman HD Solo, and then out to the Canvas. So that's the entire pedal setup. That's crazy work. That's crazy. And that's running through the MS-50G. I got a Marshall emulation. That's sweet, actually. See, that's what it sounds like. It's actually a guitar amp, but it's running through here. That's kind of nice, yo. That's it without by itself, but with it, it gives it a little character. That's crazy. So, yeah, and that's right, yo. I got a lot of pedals, yo. I got a lot of pedals, but one thing that helps a lot is that I didn't mention yet is I have a MIDI captain. So I'm running some stuff on MIDI presets, right? So let me see. I ain't gonna mess with it. But typically, make sure everything's still straight. Real quick. Yeah, that's good. So I'm running this MIDI captain, which is this blue pedal here. This MIDI captain actually allows a lot of different things. So page 1, first button is just bypassing everything. Certain things stay on most of the time, like the Empress compressor and the Atlas compressor and the ToneX one. Those typically stay on. Right? So we go from here to B is like my general solo tone. But so general solo tone there. Just a little delay and reverb to even things out nicely. Then on C, typically I have the C4 synth. Let me see. Something real quick. I didn't plug in the C4 synth for the MIDI stuff. So you got to do it through the USB. And when I hooked the pedal board back up, I didn't. That's a little trick there. You kick your leg out and it counterbalance it, and then you don't fall. See, that's how you do that while you holding your bass. You got to learn how to hold your bass and do stuff. But, all right, so, yeah, there we go. So now with it on MIDI, I can leave the second loop on. So I don't actually have to touch that much stuff. So these first two loops, I don't have to touch anything with them per se. I just need to leave them on. But if I want to take them out for recording purposes or whatever, not using them, just hit them out. But I got the ToneX and the Atlas already on. So the only thing in between there is the Enzo X. So the Hog 2, the Enzo X, the C4 synth, the MS-60B plus, the MS-70CDR plus, the HX1, all are on MIDI. As well as I can have the V256 on MIDI as well. So while having all that stuff on MIDI, I can easily change presets. I can go from to, you know, that's a C4 synth again. Different patch. Here's another C4 synth pack. Then I can go here. Turns on the Hog 2 into my solo stuff as well. Oh, yeah, back to the second switch. I have it set up where if I press it once, just my regular solo tone, but if I press it again, kicks on the Hog 2 for my solo stuff as well. And all the Hog 2 presets are saved in this little thing here. This little thing in the middle. So, that gives me a huge advantage. And then I click the last one. Now I got a nice shimmer in there that I can just add something like the deep freeze to. So it is a lot to set up at first, you know, but once you have everything set up, it's pretty much very easy, you know. And I also have this little box there, CME H2, what's this? H2 MIDI Pro, and that's what's like delegating all the MIDI to all the pedals. So I'm running the MIDI Captain into the H2 MIDI Pro. And the H2 MIDI Pro is sending MIDI out to all the other pedals. And I could go in the computer and configure the H2 MIDI Pro to do a bunch of different routing stuff. But in order to set it up like this, you got to have these pedals on different channels. Hog 2 on default is 16, channel 16. The Enzo X, I have that set up on channel 9, so if I want to change presets, I can. That can actually be played through MIDI, so I can run like all those bass synth sounds and keys, pad stuff. I can actually bring an extra keyboard, run MIDI to that if I wanted to, and not have to run an extra line. I just run it. It just runs straight through the rest of my pedals and everything. So that's amazing. The MS-60B Plus is on channel, let's see, 2, 3. It's on channel 3, and The MS-70 CDR Plus is on channel 4, while the HX1 is on channel 2. No, the Hog 2 is on channel 1. Hog 2, HX1 is on channel 2. The V256 defaults to channel 16. So I know it's a lot to remember, but at the same time, like once you have it all set up in the MIDI captain to send the correct messages to the correct MIDI channel, it's easy. Like now I have all of it set up. It took me a while to get it set up, but now it's super easy for me to go from different sounds. And then if I go to page 16, access the different sounds. So all that's set up on MIDI. Like I could just, you saw how easy it was for me to get to those different sounds. And I have 16 pages of this. So like, mind you, I got 2 or 3 pages reserved just for presets. So, and each of those pages has 8 buttons. So these page up, page down, but these other 8 buttons I have them configured for different patches on different stuff. So page 1 is presets, page 16 is presets, page 2 actually changes the HX1. Let me go to clean. First one I have up this nice analog filter on there. I mean analog flanger. And I got a reverb. Adriatic delay. Hall reverb. Dynamic bloom. Shimmer. Particle verb. You know, just for different stuff. Another verb. I love the HX1's reverb. So like most of these presets for this are on this MIDI captain are reverbs. Channel 3 changes the MS-60B plus, and you know, so forth and so on. Like I have the pages corresponding to, most of them corresponding to the actual MIDI channel that the pedal's on. So that makes my life a lot easier. But yeah, the key to having a lot of these pedals or a big pedal setup. Hey, what's going on? I appreciate you saying hello. Thanks for stopping by. You know, But also hit that like button for me while y'all here. If you haven't already, I definitely appreciate it. But yeah, one of the keys is gonna be these three-way loopers. Now I'll put a link in here real quick for you guys to the Amazon. Those are $40 on Amazon. These little gold boxes here. So let me find that on Amazon real quick, and I'll put that in the chat. And if you guys want to check these loopers out, because what they do is they allow you to take pedals in and out of your multiple pedals in and out of your chain, and it gives you up to 3 different effects loops. So pretty much each one of these pedals is its own effects loop, and so goes out the top, comes back into the bottom. So even with this, it goes into the Empress compressor and comes back into here. And then same thing with the Hog 2 and the C4 synth, and then comes back. So that allows you to take all these pedals. Pretty much right now, I have all of these pedals with the exception of the ToneX one, the Enzo X, and the Atlas compressor. I have all those bypassed. And if anything goes wrong with any of those pedals in the show, I can just press it. The effects loop is sent out. So that will save you a lot of hassle, a lot of worrying about what's going on with your pedals. You don't want to be that in MIDI, and then you need something like a MIDI setup. You need a good amount of pedals on MIDI. And I didn't when I first was starting out, I didn't necessarily see the value in that myself until I started, doing solo shows. And by the time when you're in charge of a show, you got so much more to worry about than your pedal board. Like, you got to worry about the money. First off, you got to worry about your actual contractors, your other musicians that you might have contracted for the gig. You got to worry about making the client feel comfortable and accommodating whatever they're trying to say or do, whatever the case. But, you don't want to have to be worrying about fiddling with pedals during the show while you're trying to give directions, or you're trying to just focus on entertaining the actual crowd. The MIDI definitely helps with that. Now, I don't have any MIDI pickups or anything. I'm not using MIDI that way where it's like sending MIDI note on and off messages, but I do use MIDI to where it changes the presets or certain parameters of different pedals, so I don't have to do it with my hands. And as you can see, it made it a lot easier to do those loops. Before, it would take me a lot longer to get those loops together because it would I'd have to click on so many pedals. So I know exactly what you're talking about, it being a lot of buttons. But when you slim it all down to everything's coming from this one blue pedal here on the floor, that MIDI captain, it's very much doable. Not only that, I have so this board and the bigger one on the floor are all powered by they're powered by 2 CS12 True Tone CS12 power banks. So one power bank for this one power bank for on the floor, and then one MXR power brick on this little small pedal board right here in the middle with the vocoder and stuff on it. So all that stuff, I only got 3 plugs for all these pedals. When I'm doing my normal gig, I'm only taking, like I said, this board up top. That's one plug. One plug turns on all these pedals. All I got to do is plug in here to the input and then take those outputs to wherever I need them to go. But that's it. Like, I literally just take it out of the case, plug in the power cable, plug that up, plug in my bass, take it to the outputs, and we in there. Got to make breakdown and set up easy so you're more likely to, one, take it with you, because, on a lot of gigs, you don't want to take a lot of stuff, You'd rather have something compact, and this is, even though it doesn't seem compact, it's very easy to get in and out of a gig. Like I can break down a setup in less than 5 minutes. even with an amp. You know what I'm saying? Take you a nice little combo amp. All right, so that's the link to the 3-way looper there. And like I said, they're $40 on Amazon. And the MIDI Captain is like $179. So they're not the cheapest MIDI controller you can get, but I wanted the programmability of it. I wanted the flexibility that the MIDI Captain allows. The MIDI Captain allows you up to 12 commands with, so up to 6. If you press it, when you press it, that's 6 commands. And then when you release it, that's another 6 commands that you can really program it for. So with a press and release, you can have up to 12 different things happening all within milliseconds that you would have been tap dancing for days trying to get to, with all these pedals. So, rule number 1, if you don't want to, before you even get the MIDI, start with these loopers, these $40 loopers. I have 3 of them, but I'm only using 2 of them right now. But they're invaluable. They take pedals out your signal, so you get the cleanest signal path. And then 2, once you start getting into a lot of pedals, start thinking about MIDI when you are going to buy new pedals. Start trying to get more things that can be switched and programmed more easily. So definitely helps. All right. So that's all I got for you guys right now. I actually will be back at 4. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button for me. Check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel more. And if you want any of my presets for the C4 synth, MS-60B plus, MS-70 CDR plus, 11 different preamp packs for the ToneX 1. And yeah, check all that stuff out on the Patreon. But and feel free to leave a Cash App, Super Chat, super thanks. I definitely appreciate everything. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys at 4.